Hey guys, if you enjoy any of my content, you can like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and also comment down below your thoughts or ideas on any of my content. Thank you. Welcome. This is the Day Show, and I am Day Summers.
Be careful of who you talk to. You get tired of me asking you for and everything. But
Kristen Sellers says she was fed up with being sexually harassed by her housing inspector. So she took matters into her own hands, secretly recording their conversation.
All right, well, we straight. All righty. Well, we're almost straight. You just take care of me later on.
He had the power to evict her if she didn't give in, she says, to his demands for sex.
His first time coming to the house to do the inspection approval.
What kind of vibe are you picking up?
He felt like I was like weak. He pulls me in the bathroom and he stands in front of me. He blocks me and he still, shows himself.
When you say shows himself, what do you mean?
He pulled out his penis.
A single mom, desperate to stay in her home, Sellers decided that she wasn't going to be a victim.
He basically let me know, like, I'm powerful.
I'm powerful and you're not.
I had to stand up to him.
Demanding justice, empowering others to come forward. Sellers' case exposing just how rampant sexual harassment in the housing industry really is, striking the one place that's supposed to be safe, where you live.
If we take away the silence, then they don't have any more power.
Sellers' journey here was long and troubled, going to jail on drug-related charges.
When I came home from prison, I had lost everything. I always battle with myself. And
she moved back to her hometown of Laurinburg, North Carolina, picking up 2 minimum wage jobs.
I was probably walking like 2.5, 3 miles a day.
She'd applied for a public housing voucher through Section 8 in 2011. Her goal, the American dream, a home for her and her 3 kids.
What did that voucher represent to you?
It represented a place for my family to stay. I valued it with everything in me.
And how crucial are these vouchers in order to get this kind of housing?
The waiting lists are years. I mean, they are almost like gold.
But Sellers got a voucher and was able to rent this home. As part of the public housing program, a local inspector would check on the house periodically. His name? Eric Pender.
He had the power to basically make sure I didn't have a home.
Sellers recalls her very first inspection.
He was asking me why I didn't have male figures, to help me. Why you don't have a boyfriend?
Did you start getting nervous?
Yeah, I definitely did.
Suddenly, she says the meeting changed from awkward to aggressive.
When you're in a situation with a person who can stop you from having a house, I was like, listen, I don't want to do this, and he still, shows himself. He pulled out his penis.
She says she left the room shocked, but didn't engage.
I just couldn't believe he had that audacity, the bravery. It's different because that's your sanctuary. That's where you're supposed to be safest. It's your home.
Why would your background make him want to target you?
Because my word against his, it makes me look like a liar.
What made you stand up to him?
At that point, I've been through so much, and then I believed that if I did get something, it's going to be something I have to give him over and over. I just needed some way to prove it.
Sellers told a friend about Pender's behavior, who reported it to Pender's boss. But she also sought the advice of a private investigator who suggested she record her conversation.
My heart was beating really, really fast. My hands were sweaty. I was like literally trembling out of my boots.
But what she didn't know was that Pender's boss had told him about her complaint.
All I did was try to help her. I said, you know, you get tired of me asking you for and everything. But I don't know. Yeah. They call my boss.
Pender then seems to admit that he had approached Sellers before.
I'm seeing how I came by and asked you for something anyway. I said, well, damn, maybe, you know, and then I start thinking, I said, well, you know, maybe because you like women, maybe I should never even approach you.
So in the end, it was more, you still owe me, like, you know. So
You still owe me.
sex, basically.
We almost straight. You take care of me later on.
What made you decide to get a lawyer?
I basically went to see what I had, because I didn't know.
After many rejections, she eventually found this man, Craig Hensel, a Greensboro-based attorney.
It was my first year of practice, and she called me with a case, but it struck me as something that was probably actionable and that was definitely wrong, and something needed to be done about it.
And when you heard the audio, what did you think?
It was damning. It's a big boost to the case's credibility.
He agreed to take on her case.
He was the first person to kind of like say, I believe you.
And with that, the team looked for other victims, and the floodgates opened. So many women came forward that legal aid got involved.
Some had similar allegations but didn't know each other, so that was something that struck me.
History has shown us that women with that many layers of vulnerability are usually not believed. Oh, you're black. Oh, you're poor. Oh, you're an ex-con. Even the major cases we've seen in the news, it takes dozens of women to come forward before people start saying, oh, well, maybe they're telling the truth.
Tarana Burke is the advocate who first coined the phrase Me Too. But before spearheading this movement, she actually worked as a fair housing enforcer in Alabama.
Sexual violence is not a Hollywood problem, it's a pervasive problem. And there's no part of the world, there's no group that it doesn't touch, no race, no religion, nobody. It doesn't discriminate.
But in North Carolina, because these women had spoken out, they were being believed. And their case had gotten so many plaintiffs that now the federal justice and housing departments began investigating.
In this case, we were able to generate a national discussion around a very serious issue.
When was the moment that you really felt vindicated, like the truth had come out?
When the other women came out, it was like, okay, now they know, you know, that everybody ain't lying.
The stories from these women, just a slice of what women experience everywhere.
We have our ongoing enforcement efforts, which in the last 2 years alone has resulted in $1.2 million in compensation for victims.
HUD and DOJ are encouraging women to keep coming forward, putting out PSAs like this.
I felt like no one would listen to me. He had more power than I did.
Telling the stories of real women who battle harassment at home, like Autumn Weaver.
I was a recovering addict. I was getting my kids back from state's custody.
What did you having a house mean for you and your kids?
Everything.
In May of 2012, she was approved for public housing and moved into her own apartment in Kansas City. She says she was harassed by her property manager, Derek Estelle, eventually, she says, giving in to his demands for sex.
When it's in your home and they're your landlord or they're your property manager, at the end of the day, you deal with them 365 days out of the year. It's like you're a prisoner in your own home.
Weaver filed a complaint against the housing authority, which was eventually settled and awarded her damages. Estelle has always denied any allegations made against him. He did not provide ABC with a comment. In a statement to ABC News, the Kansas City, Kansas Housing Authority said it did not become aware of the allegations related to Mr. Estelle until discovery was conducted in the DOJ lawsuit. The organization also says they've implemented new policies to prevent harassment moving forward.
It just made me a stronger woman. It just made me value myself more.
As for Kristen Sellers, her class action was settled for $2.7 million, the largest of its kind at the time. By the time the investigation ended, 71 additional women had come forward with complaints. Eric Pender denied all allegations of sexual harassment and discrimination and did not respond to ABC News' request for comment. The company that employed Pender tells ABC News that they take very seriously the right of all individuals to be treated with dignity and respect, adding that it has changed its leadership and are committed to taking responsibility anytime we fall short.
We give them power when we be quiet. That's what I've learned and through this whole ordeal.
This is her new home, hers and hers alone. She's no longer in the public housing system.
What does the phrase home sweet home mean to you?
To have love under a roof, have peace, so it's sweet.
Her Fair Housing Justice Award hangs on the wall, along with her meditations.
Sing like no one's listening, dance like nobody's watching, love like you've never been hurt.
Okay, guys. Single African American mothers dealing with the subsystems in their community that have power to influence and control what's happening around them. Now, this lady's story is so familiar to me. I've had this story myself, dealing with certain agencies and places and stuff like that, but even dealing with housing. A lot of people take for granted that, these ladies, they get these places and they don't have no problems or anything else, which is not true. Some of these people that work in these agencies, to them, it's like they're in a big, like a kid in a candy store, where they can actually get away with forcing people, mostly single mothers, into doing things that they couldn't get anyone else to do. And like how this lady was saying in the interview, that, it's her word against his. And most of the time, most people are not going to listen to a black woman, first of all, because we're known to be so aggressive and so, unable to talk to a poor woman, a woman who's an ex-convict. I mean, she had a lot of things against her just because of what she had, because of what she didn't have. And a lot of people take advantage of a lot of these women, and this is a real thing, And I myself, as a single black mother, African American mother, raising my children, had gone through the same thing, where I would be approached by certain things too. And this goes on in a lot of these places, and it's hard for the person that this is happening to say anything. If you go to court, you have the intimidation of lawyers and have the intimidation of trying to speak out, but you can't because nobody cares what you say. And this is a big problem. When I had my children and I had to raise them by myself, and in a community where my town was very small. I live in a small city and everybody knows each other. And it's a big thing when you are having children and you are there raising your children alone. Our town is very small, our city is very small, everyone knows each other, and everyone around you has some sort of leadership around you and your family. And you heard in the video how the man was saying you have no type of male, around you, and he asked her that because there's no protection when there's not a male figure around in most people's minds. And so now he's sitting there, I'm thinking in his head, well, I must, could be your person, and you're thinking, hey, I just want you to do your job, and I won't have any problems. And a lot of times, a lot of these guys, they get stuck on their power. And it's not just guys, it's women too. I mean, these people really get into their power And the fact that the person, the mother, might not have no type of male help around them, or the man is against her or whatever, they feel that she's easy to get. And it's sad. And we don't have any type of group to go to, because as you've seen in the video, the Me Too movement is not really for African American women. You go to them and they're there trying to help someone else that doesn't look like you. Even Hispanic women, it's not for them. It's not for anyone that's poor. It's not for anyone that could be an ex-convict. You know, that population gets hurt the most, gets attacked the most, because we don't have no type of way of fighting back. And you saw what happened with the Me Too movement, how it was taken over by a bunch of rich white women. Truthfully. And taken over by women that were just mad because they thought their piece of booty was the best in the world, and these men sat there and just used them and threw them away, which is different from what Me Too should have been used for. Because Me Too was used to help people who were abused, like these women were abused. And that's the scary part. No one wants to live up to that. So my experience, and so many other women in my situation experience, that's why it's such a big thing. And you saw how big the case got, but to tell you the truth, all those agencies knew what was going on. It's just the fact that they were exposed and brought out to everyone what they were doing, and they were ashamed. So, I mean, a lot of people do know what's happening, that these people are using it as a, I don't know, like a candy store to them. Like they can just walk in and just go grab a woman and make her do whatever they want, because they have these helpless women that can't do anything. And then when they try to go and expose them, oh, these people are lying, and you know, or they don't have the knowledge on how to fight. And you saw how hard it was for her to get the detective to get involved and do stuff, you know, find someone to do things to help her. So with dealing with these subsystems in our community, and dealing with these people that hold these powers, we have to have leadership in our communities. Because when I was raising my children, because I decided to not be with their father, I went through a lot, because I didn't have that male figure in the home, and everyone assumed for me to be either going to be helpless, and when I wasn't shown to be that way, I was labeled, you know, the B word, you know, because I was aggressive. I had to be aggressive because I didn't want certain things going on in my home. And these type of people that work in the social work area and all this other stuff, you know, deemed that as, you know, either she must be weak or she must be too strong or whatever they thought. Those people did try to take advantage. You know, they will mess you up, and they will do mean, evil things to you for no reason. Some of them are nice and some of them are not, but it's hard to get to having people that are not like that versus the people who are. It's a larger majority. You know, I went through some things, but I got blessed after, you know. So that was good for me, even though I stood my ground. You know, it's very hard sometimes, especially when you have those type of influences. And as in with this woman in the video, you know, it hurts a lot, you know, and you have to have that community help. Now, she was lucky that the man helped her. And another thing too, it was kind of sad that it was a white man, but at least it was a man. I mean, a real man that stood up and believed that, hey, this is wrong. You don't do this. and that's what she had to look to for help. And I know a lot of people say that you shouldn't say that, but a lot of times you're often told by your own people, girl, you're not worth anything. You need to go out here and do, all these bad things to help yourself and to do all these other things. And you don't want to do that. Like this lady here, she wanted to do the right things. And there were so many people around her wanting her to do the wrong things, and taking advantage of the fact that she didn't know who or where to go to get help, or to have people believe that she needed help. And this is what I'm saying. This is a real thing that it goes on for a lot of single mothers, not just African American mothers. Really, all single mothers. African American mothers might have it pretty bad. I might have it a little worse than other mothers, but all single mothers go through this, because even my friend, she went through it, and she's not African American, and she went through a lot. These agencies, these sub agencies, will have your children in foster care. They will put your children inside, talk to your doctors, and they will have them taking medications that they shouldn't take. They do a lot of things to control these women and to control their households. And a lot of people say, oh, well, it might be she shouldn't be on welfare. She shouldn't go to this, and she shouldn't. Where should she go to? The man is not helping her. Her black man is not helping her. And I know a lot of people are getting angry, but where should she go? To have a man in her house abuse her kids, hurt her family, take her money, take her dignity? But instead of them saying, oh, well, she should have a man, why don't y'all say, oh, well, we should make sure there are men in our community, that these women, when they get involved with them, would have a man and wouldn't have to resort to going to this person or that person. And I know that's right. So, in that opinion, as I'm watching her video, I understand, because even when you go to the medical doctors and all other community services that are around, medical doctors, even recreation, even schools or anything, it's hard for the single mothers to say anything, because we're pictured as being too aggressive, or too passive, or just too needy, or anything, like everything that's bad. And you see that all the time, and it's oppressive, because you're trying to help your family and you're trying to do what's right. Even with medical doctors, you go to the doctors, and these are supposed to be systems that are to help you, and they really don't help. Even with women, most women, even especially with African American women, they won't even diagnose them for pain or anything like that, because they think that the woman is lying. It's very hard in these subsystems to get along, and I wonder what our leaders are going to do about that. Well, I don't think I have to wonder, because even with the Me Too movement, that movement was started by an African American woman, and it was taken from her. And that's another sign of an oppression. And it was taken from her by a bunch of women that in my opinion didn't need to do what they did, take it from her and lie about it, because they destroyed it. The women that took it over are all going to jail for sexual harassment themselves, either going to jail or being accused of it. So what are we to do here? And I hope that leaders emerge who help women like me, that are poor, black, uneducated. Maybe some of them have gone to jail. I've never been to jail. even with women that are on drugs or whatever. That population of people are very oppressed. A lot of single mothers are very oppressed. Not just black mothers, not just African American, all single mothers. And it's like these people, it's a pedophile picnic. And so, what are we going to do about that? How are we going to get leaders to come and help with that? You see what happened with the guy that she had gotten. He went and he did the investigation, and as he did the investigation, just because it was exposed, those other agencies got involved. Those other agencies already knew, because those subsystems, they know that they make breeding grounds. And it's very sad. They hire a lot of those people in those agencies, like the housing and the Department of Children and Families and all of those. A lot of that stuff feels as though they're hiring pedophiles or pedophile rings, organized rings within these agencies and subsystems. And they actually control the communities, which I don't think it's right. That's just how I feel. And I feel that the African American male should be more in control of his community, not crying because they don't want to get work or whatever they're going to do, and saying that, oh, it's all the women's fault. And that's not true. They shouldn't do that. They should be putting themselves accountable, and that's how it is. A woman doesn't want a man who's there to beat on her child or sell drugs in her neighborhood or drink alcohol all day long or play video games all day long, not doing nothing for himself. And then when he does do something for himself, he wants to cheat and all this other stuff and feel that the woman should just be happy he's there. No, that's not it. That's not what's happening. No, not over here. No. So, and that's a lot of the mentality that happens. And so a lot of the single women are oppressed, and then they're being taught and told that since you don't allow a man, just to have a man there, having a man there gives you stature. In my small town, that gives you stature. You got a man, you got love, you got this, you got that. You have a leader and you have strength. Versus, oh, she's by herself. Oh, she's over there yelling again. Oh, she's over there talking junk. Talking junk is when you decide to tell someone, no, you can't do that. No, you can't walk in my house. No, you can't sell drugs here. No, you cannot sit here drinking beer around my kids. No, you can't come in here smelling any old type of way. No, I don't allow that. No. When they hear that, you're a B. So, and that's who you are. And that's why, you can't, have anything or whatever they think. But I don't know. What do you guys think? What are your opinions on this? If you look down below, you can like, comment, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Hit the notification bell. Thanks for listening.